Good evening, everybody. We are back again with another Super Mario Bros. 3 randomizer run. Our runners are going to be getting started here in one moment, but I'd like to take this opportunity to go ahead and introduce everybody. We have jkoper on the left-hand side. We have HUmanMustard on the right-hand side. And at the bottom of the screen, there's a crazy guy by the name of Growlwolf doing commentary, and that's got to be me. We are here with a Group 2, which is pretty common. That's what we've been doing for the majority of these. And we do have question marks for the levels. So this is going to be interesting. Now, why is that interesting? I'm glad you asked. So the reason this is interesting in the purposes of the question mark levels is because you can actually tell what's going on before it actually happens if you're paying attention to the numbers, based on the fact that we'll take World 1 for example. World 1 does have 6 levels as well as a fortress, so 7 in all. You have 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, then 1 fortress in the middle, 1, 5, 1, 6, and then you go to the castle. Now, if you knew that those 6 levels were all 6 levels, then you would know that there's only one fortress. But if there's 2 6 panels, there would be no fortresses, and of course that would be possible, so that's not going to happen. Whereas if there was only 5 panels, and the highest number was a 5, you would have 2 fortresses in World 1, and if there was only 4 panels, you would have 3. Now, this isn't a big deal on World 1, where there's no screen transitions, but what there is a possibility of is in World 7, which is where we're starting, and that is going to be World 7 does have screen transitions. So if you can't tell how many panels you have, then you don't know how many fortresses you have. And this could come out to play in World 6. So we'll watch for that here in just a little bit. Other than that, it's going to be a pretty regular randomizer run, whatever that means. And what that does actually mean is that we have hammers breaking locks. So rocks and locks will be broken by the hammers. We do have we do have in-card games. So we will be looking for every 80,000 points. We'll see if our runners go out for the memory match game, see if they're able to get a couple of items. Obviously, what you see is not what you get, and you will be given a random item whenever you make a match. There will be no hammers, I believe, and definitely no warp whistles coming out of the in-card game, as we have completely turned off warp whistles. We're not letting these guys out easy. We want to see what they can do. Both of our runners now onto World 1-3, and they are both, it looks like, going after the fourth, or the item that's hidden behind the end screen of this level. Now, Toad does say 1-2 on this whistle will send you to a land far away, but we don't care. We aren't going to be getting a warp whistle, but what they do get is a hammer. So an early hammer so far. We'll see where that comes out to play. And because they do break blocks, that's going to be a huge strategic factor in this run. And these guys will have to decide if and when they want to use it, and we'll debate it. We'll talk about it. We'll see where they decide to use it, if it's going to be a huge advantage or if it's not. Obviously, with anything, if you skip something, you want to get the highest reward you can. Sometimes that does mean you skip things like World 7-5, or not 7-5. You do skip levels such as 7-5, Atlantis, 6-6, some of the really difficult ones that can be trying, or it also could mean that you skipped something like a hand level because you skipped it blind and didn't know where you were going. So there is the possibility of something like that occurring, and of course we'll go over it and we'll talk about it and we'll see what happens. Both of our runners pretty much just trying to do the exact same thing here, and that is figure out where on earth am I going. At this point, it looks like HUmanMustard has figured out the pipe maze, has gotten onto 5-5, excuse me, and we'll be utilizing some P-wing strats or P-speed strats there. Meanwhile, jkoper has found our first, I believe, lost level in this game, and we'll be taking on the waterfall, as we like to call it. It is reminiscent of 7-1 and 7-6. It does have the same feel as like the pipe level. Especially once we get through this, you'll see that it does kind of have the same feel of like 7-6, especially with the pipes there and the blue blocks on the left-hand side. So he has gotten through that. Piranha level on the side of HUmanMustard does present him with a Starman, and that will give him some invincibility when he does first get started here. jkoper hot on his heels. He is currently into 5-5, and we'll look to see if he's able to get some of that P-Speed strat that we saw HUmanMustard utilize just a moment ago. World 5's airship on the side of HUmanMustard, and he will be going into the villainous composer that we like to know and call Ludwig von Kulpa. He does not have Earthquake this time, but that doesn't stop HUmanMustard from taking him down, and we'll be going into the next world. We started with World 7. Let's go ahead and get some guesses into chat as what we think the next one is. I'm going to have to go with some reverse vanilla order here. I think we're going to say 6. I think World 6 needs to come up next. We'll go into the land of ice and snow and see what these guys can do with that. jkoper now onto his fight with the piranhas. And looks like a star will be coming for him as well. That is not a random item. That will be the same for our guys. They did compare hashes at the beginning. Basically, it's just a way to tell exactly who got what, or just to make sure that they've got the same randomizer as the other one. We want this to be fair, obviously. Psycat is now the winner of our little contest and was right with World 2. So congratulations on that. HUmanMustard, the first to get into the pyramid level. He does have a tail, so you have to think he's feeling pretty good about this so far. I certainly would be. He doesn't have to play with the shells. He doesn't have to go through that. He really just gets to run through and bash things with the tail. So very nicely done on his part. He's going to make short work of that, and we'll be through it just as quickly as he got into it. Fire Brother at the very end there is a little bit of a nuisance, but again, no big deal. HUmanMustard through it. That's all there is to it. jkoper now finishing up the talk with the king, who says there once was a toad from Nantucket. I feel like this is the start of a poem. I'd be very interested to see what the rest of that is. Meanwhile, HUmanMustard, finding his first in-card game, was able to make a pair of the flowers, and a little bit of a blip there. I wasn't exactly okay. It looks like that was a Tanuki suit actually, and he will find himself in 7-8. So now he's going to be trying to play through this both carefully and quickly. Oh, and he did try to take a duck jump there. That was hard to say. I don't know why. But that does come back to bite him, as he does have to play this level again. Thankfully, he does have a star in the works, so he's going to take the star and play through it with invincibility. And if you're going to play through a level like this, I think that is a very good decision and a very wise way to do that. HUmanMustard does take the little bit of a shortcut here. It's one of my personal favorites. Kind of gets you out of harm's way. And he does get a fire flower through his efforts. Now, typically this level would give you a hammer suit that our speedrunning friends in the Super Mario Bros. 3 vanilla game would use typically all the way till the end of Bowser's castle and would take down Bowser with him. So HUmanMustard does not get a Hammer Brothers or a hammer suit this time, but does get a fire flower. Not quite as good, but still a very good thing at this point. P-Wing on the side of HUmanMustard for his fight with the Boomerang brother. And he is now looking to see what on earth do I have myself into, and it looks to be a 3-fort Monty. So World 2 does have the 3 fortresses, which does happen in one of the worlds somewhere in the randomizer run. And it looks like he does decide to use the hammer. Says, you know what? I really don't want to try to figure out all these fortresses. I'm just going to go ahead and use my hammer, which I think is actually a very wise decision. There's a lot that could go wrong there. You don't know if a 7F2 is coming up. You don't know if 7F1 is coming up. You don't know what on earth those 3 fortresses could be. And at this point, literally could be anything. So not a bad decision. You've got a hammer. Might as well use it. There's a good possibility those could come up here in the future. You've already seen 7. Now you've got 2. So really the places that, I mean, obviously you could use it anywhere because it can be used on locks. Really just a good decision in my opinion. I think that's a really good call for him there, because there are 3 fortresses and 2 of those are not correct. Meanwhile, jkoper currently doing his best to get through a couple of piranhas and a fire chomp and a Koopa Troopa shell that's currently going back and forth. Mistimes the jump, isn't able to land on top, and does take another death to 7-8. So he will be playing this at least one more time. But hopefully just one more time. Now it looks like HUmanMustard has finished it off. Normally we take guesses here, but we're running out of time. I'll say 3 real quick. And I look like an anchor that he just got from the princess's letter. Not a bad thing. An anchor is actually a random item. So it could be anything. In the original vanilla game that we were just talking about earlier in the previous run, it would be, in fact, the way to keep an airship from moving on you. So if you're in World 6 and you took a couple of clouds just to make sure you got through it without any issue, you could use the airship or the anchor to make sure that the airship did not move. So if you had to play it over again for some reason, then you could keep it there without having to go back and play the levels that you've already skipped. So obviously that's not going to be a factor here. First, because the guys, I mean, let's be honest, they're not going to die in an airship. These guys are great. But even if they do, the airship is not going to move. And that's just the way that the game has been designed. The randomizer has been set up for these guys to go fast. So a lot of the auto scrollers are out. And yeah, so a lot of the auto scrollers are out. We'll talk about a couple of those here in a moment. And these guys are just going to go as fast as they can. And yeah, we'll just wait and see what happens here. HUmanMustard deciding to take a little bit of a damage boost through there. I don't hate that decision. He's looking like he just wants to go fast, knows there's at least one more power up here, says, you know what, I'm good without it. And we'll continue on through the end of 6F2. jkoper with an unfortunate game over there. Rocky2418 in chat said he really should use his star, ideal for a level start like this. I do have to agree with Rocky. That is a very good call out. 7-8 is definitely a terribly difficult level, and if you do have the item, you might as well use it. There's not going to be a whole lot of places that you could use a star much more than you could possibly use it there in 7-8. HUmanMustard now back onto the in-card game. He is looking for a few matches here. So far has the 10 coin and is able to get the 1-up. Again, those are not going to be the things he gets, but he will get other items for those. So it is going to be random. We'll check to see if he checks his inventory here in a moment. jkoper opting to take a bit of coin detour. Looks to see like, or looks to me that he's wanting to get a little bit of security going into 7-8. Really doesn't want to take another game over. I can't say I fault here, if I'm being honest. The randomizer gives and the randomizer takes away, and unfortunately at this point it has taken away from jkoper, but to no fault of its own. 7-8 is not an easy level, and personally I'd like to see him take the same path that we just saw HUmanMustard take, and that was of course going under the level by going through the first pipe. So hopefully if he knows about it, I'd like to see him use it and really just get through the level as quickly as he can here. He does come back in with a mushroom. Hopefully that's enough for him to get through this time. The piranha plants are just a little bit timed to the point where he does have to wait. Got through the first part without taking any damage. Hopefully he can put the pedal down, start getting a little bit more distance here. A little bit of a missed time, but he does get through. So now he is on to the races. And a couple fire chomps, fire chomp and a fire tail. Another fire chomp. Man, this is just a very disgusting 7-8 so far. And hopefully he's able to get through here in a moment. The flame chomp is going to be exploding here in moments, and he does need to get away from it before that happens. There you go. The last thing that he really has to worry about is that fire piranha. He is through it now and should be out with this level. So congratulations to jkoper. What a terrible level to get started with, but he is now through it. We would like to welcome those from SpeedGaming 5 who just raided with a party of 67. We are currently in a group stage Super Mario Bros. 3 randomizer tournament race where HUmanMustard is taking on jkoper in a 2-race event, basically. There are 2 races. It's not a best of 3. All of our racers in their groups will play each of the other racers 2 times for a total of 6. There's 4 racers in each of the groups, and there are 12 groups, so there's 48 in all, which is incredible. Also, the current prize money is listed at $365, and they have said if it increases to 500, then they're going to add it for the 4th place. So they are looking to see if they can up the ante a little bit. So if you want to make things a little bit more interesting, feel free to go ahead and consider donating to that. If you would like more information, we could certainly get that in the chat for you. Jkoper now on his way through his World 4 airship, I do believe, and will be taking on his fight with Morton. And an earthquaking Morton, not exactly the thing you really want to see, but 2 hits is. So he's able to get through that. Meanwhile, HUmanMustard working on World 8 and misses the one cycle by just a moment. Like, it was not very long at all, but unfortunately that does mean he has to start over and get it started again. But he will be able to get through this next part pretty quickly, and of course Boom Boom is only 3 hits, so we'll see that go here quickly as well. Also, we just added a few links in the chat if you are interested in finding more out about the game, the bracket, the tournament, anything like that. There are some links in the chat there for you now. If you decide that you'd really like to give it a shot, we'd encourage you to do so. Go ahead and join the Discord. A lot of really cool people there, a lot of really cool runs that are going on, and just a really good time all together. So definitely be a part of that if you'd like. And if you love this game as much as we do, even if you're not wanting to race it or you just want to maybe play it for fun, definitely join us and laugh with us, have some good times, and we'll look forward to seeing you there. Also, if you are not already following both of these runners, we do encourage you to do so. These guys do a lot of really cool things, a lot of really cool runs. And if you like this game, if you like the randomizer aspect, certainly feel free to give them a follow. I'm sure they would appreciate it. And we would appreciate it as well, because they do a really good job of putting on very good quality content and just a lot of really good races. We've had a few races so far that were absolute clutch. We had one last night that featured DLP and Dave Lindo, who were absolutely outstanding, and it came down to 15 seconds different at the very end, and just really a great time. So definitely be a part of that. Feel free to kind of follow along, and if you're not already following SpeedGaming, certainly feel free to give them a follow as well. They put on a lot of really great content. Of course, without them, we wouldn't be here. So we definitely appreciate them and all that they do as well. Jkoper now going for the under the scenes flight pattern. He does miss it just a little bit, so he's not going to be able to finish off the flight, and will finish off the rest of this level by going the old-fashioned way, and that's quite all right as well. Meanwhile, HUmanMustard doing his best to get through 3-2 or 3-3, I believe, and not able to get the P-Speed strat there, but that's quite all right. He gets through without any further damage, and we'll be moving on also. Also, we talked a little bit about this being a Group 2, in-carts, hammer break slots, and question mark levels. So now this is World 6. World 6 typically has, I believe, 10 levels. Yes, it does. It has 10 levels, which means if you see a 10 panel, that means there's at least, well, that means it's normal that there's at least one fortress, probably more than that. But if you see 2, that means there cannot be 3 fortresses. And of course, if you see 3, that means there can only be 1 fortress in the map. So because these guys are not able to actually see what the levels are and what the numbers are, they have no idea yet how many fortresses are currently in play in World 6, and they will in fact have to go through, find the fortresses, possibly play them, and then figure out where Lemmy's castle is, all before finally taking it down and moving on in the race. HUmanMustard opting to go ahead and bypass that Hammer Brother, at least for now. We'll see if he comes back and decides to play him later. Currently looking through the pipes, just wants to know kind of where he's going so far. He decides to take the top route here. That looks like it's going to have 7-4 attached to it. Jkoper now going through a corn ship, and he'll be taking on the fight with the Boomerang Brothers as well here in moments. HUmanMustard breezing through this 7-4, which has auto scroller turned off and has a fire flower, so that does mean he's going to be breezing through that again pretty quickly, as a fire flower is a really good thing to have in a water level. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but here we are. Jkoper now on his way through the World 3's airship, But of course, instead of Windy being at the end of this one, he's going to have somebody else. HUmanMustard now on his way to his next level. Actually, he's going to be finding out where Limmy's castle is and what's required here. There is a bridge, there is no lock, so at least one fortress is required, but we do have another lock at the bottom of the screen there. So HUmanMustard's going to be taking advantage of those pipes, which do allow him to skip at least a level or two. And since the fortress is basically free at this point, he's going to go ahead and take on the first fortress he sees, check to see if the lock breaks, and then likely play the other fortress as well. And I did get called out in the chat. It's not like firepower underwater is the only unrealistic thing about SMB. You are absolutely 100% correct. And an unfortunate death from HUmanMustard on that, so he will have to replay the level. Looks like he's going to take a hammer suit. I think that's an interesting strategy here. But when you are wanting some power, that's what you're going after. So Starman does come out. And yes, you're absolutely correct. Mushrooms, I've tried it. It does not actually make me bigger. We'll leave it at that. But anyway, I've never seen a fire flower before in my life, especially not one that allows me to spit fire. And I've never once flown with a raccoon tail. Not, again, that I've ever tried, but I've never seen a raccoon fly, so I've never really had any desire to. So, anywho. It looks like the stars in the in-card game are hammers. Okay, very interesting find, Rocky. Thank you so much for that. We really appreciate it. Because that does add a lot of strategy here. So if the runners are able to make those memories or the memory matchups of the stars, then that does mean that it's going to get very interesting very quickly. Because any level where a lock is necessary, or any world, I should say, that does mean that a lock could break that and allow them to continue on without having to play the required fortresses. So we'll definitely look to that to be a turning point for our guys, and we'll see if they can kind of expedite their runs as well with that information. I mean, we have it, they don't, but we do. So we'll check to see if they do that. HUmanMustard opting to not use a hammer there. I think that's a wise decision. This is, I believe, 3-8. Gotta check that real quick. Sometimes I get my World 3s mixed up. It's been a while since I played it. Also, we would like to welcome those who have come from SpeedGaming 2. They have just raided with a party of 42. Welcome to the channel. We are currently in the middle of a speed run, or I'm sorry, it's not a speed run, it's a randomizer race. There is a bit of a difference. And absolutely correct. Rocky, that is 3-9. Thank you so much for that. That's right, because 3-8 is the one that goes up and down and has boss pass typically. So we're all working on it here. Looks like HUmanMustard is now doing another in-card game. I can't say I fault him for that, especially with the knowledge that hammers are in the stars. So that is going to be another hammer for HUmanMustard. And really, it's just going to start becoming a surplus of hammers, which I think he just figured out. So that is interesting. It looks like he's going to be able to utilize those to his advantage. We had an H jump a moment ago, so Ezerfnif has pointed that out. We do appreciate that. And that is one that's fun to find on 3-9. It's a way for our runners to go quickly through the level without having to break those blocks. They can actually go over it if they're going fast enough, so very well done. Rocky, I am so glad to hear you say that. I actually am the exact same way. I used to hate boss bass with a passion when I was younger. I mean, I still do, but I definitely hated boss bass when I was younger. It was an absolute nightmare. And I think that may be one reason that a lot of people in this day and age who used to play that probably have anxiety, if I'm being honest. But regardless, we have HUmanMustard now on his way to Limmy's castle. And we'll be taking on the fight with the Crazy Koopa here in just a moment. And it looks like we've got World 7's airship this time. So the longest airship is going to be coupled with the craziest of Koopas. And really just is going to be a good time. HUmanMustard opting to go for some P-Speed strats. I think that's a really wise decision here. And, I mean, if you got it, go ahead and use it. And he is going to blow through the rest of the airship. World 7's airship in just a moment, and is going for a little bit of a hybrid kill on Limmy. But the fires do win out, and he is able to take down Lemmy and move on to the next world. Yeah, definitely not a lot of love for Boss Bass in the comments right now, but totally understandable. I definitely get it. I definitely understand it. And to make matters worse, we have allowed Boss Bass to be really in any levels. So if you think it was bad in 3.8, there's definitely a possibility it's even worse if he shows up in 7.5 or some of the others. So we'll wait to see if that does come up. Meanwhile, jkoper now on his way to figure out, hey, where's Lemmy? And just like that, we are now into World 5. HUmanMustard is taking on a beta stage, a lost level stage. It didn't quite make it into the game, but we like adding those, so our runners have to play them anyway. A few nice jumps and a couple ducks does mean that he is able to get through his level quickly and will be moving on as well. Super Basil said, my brick wall level as a kid was the first tank stage in World 8. Definitely, and if not that one, the other one that was absolutely terrifying for me was Air Force. Those little moles that like to throw things were just absolutely annoying. But anywho, and yes, Midi Guy has actually brought up a really good point. So Boss Bass actually has to play to some fairness. Like he does not move very much. Once you take him down, he will stay at what level Mario is at for the rest of the levels. So like that's how HUmanMustard is currently going through the level. Boss Bass has stayed at the same level the entire time, whereas Cheap Cheap will actually move with you. So if you're taking on something like 7.5 or 7.9 that has multiple levels, he will actually follow you and try to take you down. So got to be careful of that as well. HUmanMustard has just located World 1's fortress. I do have a belief that he will go ahead and play this, but only because he does not have the tail, which will allow him to go up and get the item. He will go for a clip here, does not get it on the first try. Looks like he's going to go again with it. And jkoper currently finishing his fight with Boom Boom from the Air Force. And a nice clip from HUmanMustard that's going to set up the fight with Boom Boom. jkoper now going through the exact same line that HUmanMustard was, and will be taking, well, he has taken on the fortress. Looks like he's going to go ahead and go on back and play the other one, though. I think that's a wise decision. Might as well get them both out of the way. And because we know which one's which, I think that's a very good decision. He did locate the lock, which means he does need to go back because the bridge has not been broken yet. He's decided to play the other side, which is in fact 8-2. Not a terrible level. It does not appear to have the angry sun this time, so he'll be able to kind of breeze through this. Just have to avoid a few piranha plants here. And I did just notice the Cheap Cheap, so does have to be careful of that as well. HUmanMustard now on to one of our other beta levels, and that of course is the beta for 1.5. It's very similar with its tunnels and its little critter crawlers that are running around there. And a couple of piranhas does mean that he has to wait a moment before entering the last pipe, and that is no big deal for him. jkoper with a little bit of an issue there, so he's going to have to go back to 8-2 and play it again. And HUmanMustard is now moving on to his fight with Roy. He is into World 6's airship. And he will be taking on Roy here in just one moment. We'll see what kind of a problem Roy is. It looks like Earthquake is not on Roy this time, so one of the other Koopalings does have it. And a fire kill does mean 10 fireballs takes down a Koopaling kid. Now jkoper equipping a P-Wing and will be taking on World 2's fortress. jkoper not able to get to the pipe, having a little bit of an issue, not sure what happened there. Unfortunately, that does mean he's going to have to play it again. He's decided to use a star here for the Boomerang Brother. I think that's a wise decision. And we'll be able to finish off those guys very quickly. as a P-Wing is awarded to him for his efforts. A frog suit on the side of HUmanMustard. Knowing him, we will probably see that here in just a little bit come out. A star equipped for the very first level of World 3. I think that's fine, not a bad decision. There's really no wrong time to use a star. And he will be blowing through another beta level. It's kind of interesting to see. There's been quite a few so far. jkoper now through a World 2's Fortress again. He is able to make it through the pipe this time, thankfully, and he is going to be setting up his fight with Boom Boom here in just a few moments. Meanwhile, HUmanMustard now on his way. See if he can get through his World 6 Fortress. I apologize, I definitely mislabeled that. That is not the World 6 Fortress, that is World 4's Mini Fortress 1. So I do apologize about that. With that, HUmanMustard is back into the end card game. Definitely looking for some items, and I can't say I fault him. Now that we know the end card game does have a hammer, I can't say I blame him at all, and I think I'd be doing the exact same thing. A lot of items on the side of HUmanMustard, and that is going to be a hammer on the lock so he can bypass a couple of levels, and he is met with the diagonal doom of 5-9. The very last level you would play right before taking on the World 5 airship, as well as Roy. And yeah, really not a whole lot to say except it's up and it's diagonal. And it's up. And it's still diagonal. So he's going to be on this for another few seconds. We'll check back in later. jkoper, meanwhile, is currently onto his fight with Limmy. And we'll be taking him down as quickly as possible. That's 2 shots on the Limmy. 3 shots on Limmy. 4. So a little bit of a beefier guy there. So I think HUmanMustard made a good decision going after a fire defeat there, as that is just a little bit quicker for him. HUmanMustard taking a bit of a turn back there, so he doesn't have to get the stars and thereby waste a few more moments of his time. So the level was skipped at the cost of a hammer, but with as many hammers as he has right now, I don't believe that that's a bad decision. Now there will be no Hammer Brother or in-card games in Bowser's Kingdom of World 8. So if you're going to play the in-card game, you might as well do it here quickly and get whatever you need before taking on the big lizard. HUmanMustard now able to get through, and we'll be moving on to the next one. And I realized when I said that, I guess Bowser's more of a turtle, isn't he? Regardless, so taking on the big turtle will produce, well, the princess actually, and that is what we're looking for. That's how you win the game. That's how it happens. jkoper now finishing his up, and he's going to be taking on a couple of pipes here. We'll see if he does go through the paradox pipe, which actually just leaves him on the same level. So we saw HUmanMustard take a intentional early exit on that last time, because if you take a death out of the pipe falling down to the tower, then you go back to where the pipes were. And hopefully jkoper is able to figure that out. Looks like he's actually going to go ahead and go through the other pipe. I think that's interesting, but that does put him at the top. So now he has just a couple of levels to go here, and both fortresses on top. So even if he doesn't use a hammer, which he has no reason not to, he will be able to get through this very quickly. HUmanMustard onto a World 4 level, very easily denoted by the fact that it's giant, and all these critters are a lot bigger than they really should be. And that is going to be the end of the level for him. Meanwhile, jkoper hurrying to get away from that big boss bass, and does so without any issues at all. HUmanMustard now has 3 pipes to choose from. This one will go to one of the other 2, or it will take him to winning, which is exactly what happened. Happens to be open, and he's going to be able to finish this off just as quickly as he can get there. So a Tanuki suit does mean he gets to fly over this airship, and he will be On to this fight with Wendy. We'll see what kind of item we've got here. One shot so far, two. Meanwhile, Fortress World 1's Fortress for jkoper. Oh, and she is everything, folks. She is the Frosty. She is the Bacon Egg or combo. She is the cheesy fries that they've got. She was it all. Meanwhile, that is the end of Wendy, and that is going to be the start of World 8 on the side of HUmanMustard. We would like to also invite you at this time to go ahead and play a mini game with us. We like to know how many bridges are in Bowser's Kingdom. I don't ever get this one right, so whatever I guess, I would strongly recommend you pick something else. And I'm going to go with 2. I think it'd be interesting to see 2 bridges leading up to Bowser's Castle. So go ahead and get your guesses in. We'll be looking for those here in just a little bit. And both tanks currently on the very front of Bowser's Kingdom. That's a little bit of an interesting thing. I'm not sure I've seen that before. If I have, it's been a while. Meanwhile, HUmanMustard opting to go ahead and play his level. I have just a little bit of a problem with it. The H card game will, or I'm sorry, the H jump will not be. Alright, fine. Maybe it will be a factor here. HUmanMustard is able to get through that, no problem at all. Does take damage to a giant Goomba, but hopefully that should be the end of it for him, and it is. On the side of jkoper, he's finishing off the World 6 airship, and he will be looking for a fight here with Roy in just moments. HUmanMustard now going through the pipes, looking to see where exactly that big old turtle is. HUmanMustard very well aware of the fact that he does still have a hammer, decides to use it there. What a great idea. I think, oh my goodness, here we go. We have a frog suit on 3-1. HUmanMustard's going to be flying through this before, you know what, he's going to be done with it. So he does go over the level. I think that's a great decision. And with that, he is now through 3-1. I'm not sure I've ever seen somebody use a frog suit in time for 3-1 just like that. And with it, what a great play from HUmanMustard. I mean, there's no way he could have known that. And what a fantastic item to pull out there. Just absolutely lucky. But hey, we take luck. That's not a problem at all. A little bit of a cheesy pun from Mini Guy DP in chat. Must be jumping for joy at the moment. Very well played. I will applaud you on that. Meanwhile, HUmanMustard with a double pipe there, and looks like he has found 7F1, which is also known as Fort Knox, because, well, of that. The coins like to pop up, and we believe that's where Bowser keeps his coin storage, because, you know, everybody's going to have the ballots for his coin. And it looks like HUmanMustard is going to have to play this again. I can't fault him for that. That is an awkward jump as a frog, because the frog has such a weird jump radius. And yeah, he's just going to have to try that again. No big deal, no harm, no foul. And he will be able to get his Tanuki suit, which will finish off the level for him. Meanwhile, jkoper now into that World 4's first fortress. There we go, got it right that time. And he will be going through here, hopefully without taking any more damage. Okay, hopefully not taking any more damage now. Hey, there we go. He is given a mushroom, and he's going to wait for the pump to come back. Not a bad decision there. And HUmanMustard has now finished off his fight with Boom Boom. With a little bit of style and class, he was able to utilize the statue at the very end and grab the coin right after. HUmanMustard is going to have to go back and locate that lock now, potentially. But I do believe we've seen at least 2 locks thus far. Okay. HUmanMustard has bypassed the tank that's at the beginning. I don't know that he actually checked that yet. And I find that very interesting, because if he hasn't checked it and it's a fortress, it could be required. The other one was not a fortress. So I'm not sure why he didn't play that. We'll come back to that here in just a little bit, because jkoper now on the side of World 3 has just about entered 5-9, and we'll be getting started with that here in a moment. Meanwhile, HUmanMustard has located 3F2, has a Tanuki suit, and will be swinging through here as quickly as he can, and we'll be taking on his fight with Boom Boom here in just one moment. jkoper still working through 5-9, just not a whole lot to do, except wait for the game to allow you to finish the level. HUmanMustard at 3-2 decided to use a tail and use the Chief Chiefs as a trampoline. It happens to work, and he is now through his level. A little bit of a fun time there for him. He was able to take a statue to the head of a piranha plant, and he won that fight. So there you go. jkoper now through 5-9 and is moving on. HUmanMustard now still desperately looking for Bowser's Castle. Looks like we should be able to... Okay, no, just kidding. The lock has been broken, so now there is at least one more fortress. So far, it looks like there's not going to be any bridges, so it looks like it's either going to be 0 or... Nope. I take that back. There is no bridges. So as soon as the lock is lifted, HUmanMustard will be able to move on. And Bowser's Castle will not prevent him from going on, as no bridges will be required. So there you go. We'll confirm that here as soon as HUmanMustard gets there. The first fortress that he did not play was, in fact, the Navy. So he does go back to play that now. And we'll be getting through his fight with Boom Boom here in moments. jkoper has located World 1's second level, a very classic, very iconic, one that we're all pretty familiar with. You finished off with 1-1, and now you're into the grassy knolls of 1-2. I do have to agree with Rocky. I believe that there is really just one more place for a pipe to be, and I do believe it's in the top left corner, which has now been opened up. This should be Bowser. There should not be any bridges if we've calculated correctly. That is absolutely the case. Hammer Brothers suit comes out for HUmanMustard. We are now entering the finishing up the 40th minute of this run. So definitely a grueling one. jkoper with a unfortunate loss of life there. He will have to play 3-8 again. And we will come back to that here in a moment. Nice clip on behalf of HUmanMustard. Another clip, and that's the anyone's clip. He is able to get through that very quickly. And we'll see if he gets the mac and cheese. First try, no good. Second try, very good. And that is the hammer suit onto Bowser. Go ahead and get your GGs out in chat as HUmanMustard takes on the big turtle and claims the princess. Claims the princess's freedom. There we go. Freedom. We got freedom for her. So she's able to go back to Mushroom Kingdom and rule the toads again because goodness knows they need it. So anyway, and absolutely 3 out of 4 times, not bad at all. 2 clips on the first try, 1 clip took twice, still not a bad effort at all. Very nicely done on behalf of HUmanMustard. And with that, we will get you the official race time here in just one moment. Looks like that is a 41-46. So very well done on behalf of HUmanMustard. And with that, jkoper has decided to go ahead and opt out of the second race. jkoper has forfeited this race, no big deal. That is going to be a 2-hour time on him for this race because he did not finish. A do not finish is 2 hours. So that's going to be required. So anyway, we're going to be moving on to World 7, they're talking in the chat about World 7-8. jkoper had a bit of an issue with that, and they're discussing that now. Meanwhile, we will be moving on to the second race here in just a moment. We'll be getting that set up here, so if you need to take a break, now is a perfect time to do so. We will be getting the second race started here in about 3 to 4 minutes, and we'll catch you then. And they are going for their second of the 2 races. This is a group stage, which means there's 4 players in a group, and everybody has to play everybody else twice within that group. So this is the second of the 2 races between HUmanMustard and jkoper. Overall, HUmanMustard is now 3-0 with the win he just took, and jkoper has only lost 1. So this is the second of the games he's played so far. So he still has Basil to play, as well as Scarface Nico. And of course, we'll look forward to seeing those coming up. And then HUmanMustard has Basil to play as well. So we will be looking forward to those for sure coming up within the next couple of weeks. The group stages are supposed to be done by the end of May. We do like to keep the action rolling. So we have a lot of races coming up, including, but not limited to, Tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, the Speed Gaming channel, I do believe, is still to be determined. Yes, that is well, that's partially correct. So I actually apologize. There was a bit of a difference there. So Wednesday, May 19th, they just added another one. HUmanMustard is now taking on Basil at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That is a channel that's to be determined. But if you're already following the Speed Gaming channels, you won't have to worry about that. It will come up, and as soon as you see that Super Mario Brothers 3, come join us. We'll look forward to seeing you there tomorrow. Gimp Extreme versus Sharky 2107 will start at 7:30 p.m. Also at 7:30 p.m. is a great matchup between Teeks88 versus Animist United, two guys that have been part of the community for a long time, and we are definitely going to be looking forward to seeing that. Speed Gaming 3 is where they're going to be located, and currently the commentators for that are Dust Minion and the Hackster. So if you're not excited about that race, I don't know what to tell you, because that is going to be a fantastic race. The commentary is going to be outstanding, and you're not going to want to miss it. Then, of course, Thursday, May 20th, we have at 7:30 p.m., again, Eastern Time, Magoo is Adorable is taking on Paradox. And that's going to be hosted by Midi Guy DP, a very fantastic runner in our community as well. And then after that, we have 9:30 p.m. on Thursday. Fred Coughlin, the actual creator of the randomizer, is going to be taking on Animist United. Then on May 21st, we have several more games as well, and we'll certainly look forward to that. So definitely tune in. We have a lot of races coming up here quickly, and we look forward to seeing you there for those. HUmanMustard taking an early exit out of 7-5. I can't say I blame him at all. If you have a choice, you don't want to play that one. So he's going to go back and play the tanks instead. So this could be a level. It's one of the first of the two that are typically in Bowser's Kingdom. And there doesn't necessarily have to be a boom boom at the end of this. It will, in fact, be a Boomerang Brothers set. So he will be going through that, and will be getting an item for his efforts. That's a really good way to start, because HUmanMustard has decided he does not want in-card games, which means items are going to be coming from three places. There is the item state, or the stages that hold items, such as World 1 Fortress, 1-3, and some of the others. There is the ability to get items from Toadstool houses as well as Boomerang Brothers. So we'll be looking for the runners to play those, because items are a really good thing to have, and especially because hammers do break locks, and we'll look for the strategy for that as well. Meanwhile, both runners onto the World 5 airship, taking on Iggy, who is the boss over World 4, which we just saw them in. And Earthquakey Iggy does mean a little bit of care is needed on the side of the runners, but HUmanMustard able to get through that here, no problem. And jkoper is going to be right behind him. We got a little bit of love from VT Arxless for jkoper. Love to see it. Go ahead and get your cheers in for the guys. They do appreciate it. We do appreciate it. We love doing this for you all, and we definitely appreciate you all being here with us tonight. Is it Chaos Comedy Tour Levels of Comedy? Well, if I say yes, will you be there? I absolutely have no idea. Hopefully it is. It should be a good time nonetheless, and hopefully there are some left in there for you as well. Looks like HUmanMustard opting to go ahead and use the pipe before even playing the first fortress. Can't say I fault him for that. Kind of be nice to know exactly where you're going here. And ultimately, I mean, there's nothing directly in front of the castle, but there are two locks that are a little bit awkward, and are going to require a little bit of finesse. So HUmanMustard decides to play 6F2 first, and it looks like jkoper kind of doing the exact same thing. He didn't quite check the right side. Feels like there's probably going to be something there, so he's decided to go ahead and go back and play 6F2. Unfortunately, the last frame, he was unable to lift up with the air, or with the tail, so he does have to play 6F2 again. Unfortunately, this time without a tail. He will be equipping a star, and will be moving on the old-fashioned way. Meanwhile, HUmanMustard now into our first of the lost levels for this map, or for this team, I should say, and that is the waterfalls. It is reminiscent of 7-1 or 7-6 with the pipes as well as the blocks that are used. And was not actually featured in the game. It does not have any enemies in the lost level. So a little bit of a nice reprieve and an easy level to get through. I always double dip with the Let's Go Mustard and with, I believe, a mustard emote as well. So congratulations to HUmanMustard. That is a fan right there. Angry Sun and Boss Bass on this 4-2 for HUmanMustard. If you want it any scarier than that, then I'm sorry we disappointed you. But HUmanMustard able to make quick work of that, no problem at all. You just stay in front of them, you keep going, no big deal, and we're good to go. jkoper going for an item. Unfortunately, it is a star, and he fell too quickly, so the item does despawn there. No big deal. A star is not necessary here, and he will be able to hit the mash button or mash the button to get through this as quickly as he can. On the side of HUmanMustard, he did take on a Boomerang brother there and was awarded a Jukum Clock. That is going to be very helpful for getting through a level without having to play it. HUmanMustard gave up his tail for a shell, so now he is going, or for a fire flower, I should say. So now he will have to use the shells to get through these different blocks and these different walls, but we'll be able to do it the way that our speedrunners usually do, and we'll take no more time on this than you have to. jkoper very nicely done through 4-2. He had no issues with that Boss Bass or the Angry Sun either. And now HUmanMustard will be taking on the big boy Morton here in just a moment. He will be going through the, I believe, third World Airship, or World 3's airship, I should say. No, I apologize. It's actually World 2's airship, so thank you, Fred. We call it a Fred if it's exactly where it was supposed to be in the vanilla game, as it basically signifies that it wasn't actually randomized. It was. There is a possibility that a random object will eventually return to the place where it's supposed to be. And Rocky is absolutely correct as well. I missed that. The pyramid level was where it was supposed to be as well. It had the wrong tile, but we still count that. The level was where it was supposed to be. Meanwhile, jkoper taking a tail in place of the frog. I can't say I blame him there. The frog is a little bit slow and kind of clunky in a level like this, so not a bad switch off there. I can't say I mind that at all either. I think I agree with that for sure. A couple shots quick on the side of jkoper, and he is now through his fight with Morton, excuse me, as was HUmanMustard just a moment ago. HUmanMustard just finished off his fight with a Boomerang brother, and he does have 3 pipes currently to choose from, and one at the top of about the middle of the map, and we'll see if he's able to locate that. He will. The one behind the rock is connected to one in the bottom right corner of the square there, typically where 1-3, I believe, is, or 6-3 is located, and he will go through the pipe and see what's to find. Now, it looks like jkoper will be locating the exact same thing, and with this, we've basically got ourselves a tied game. This is a very interesting thing. jkoper and HUmanMustard both with a tail. jkoper not even going for the quick jump. Wow. I guess it pays to know your weaknesses and your strength, because he is now almost caught up with HUmanMustard and has made this virtually a tie game. I mean, at this point, he is just that close to HUmanMustard, and I mean, it is anybody's game at this point. One wrong decision could mean the leadership change for either of these guys. HUmanMustard did jump over the card. It looks like he was trying not to get the fanfare. He was successful in that, and jkoper will be coming up right after him and will take the fanfare. I don't hate that decision. It does add just a little bit more time to your run, but it does also mean that you're able to get a couple more lives just in case. So not a terrible decision, very well done. And jkoper is going to go the bottom route. So instead of the tail being useful in that lost level, he is now going to have to go through one of the longest levels in the game, and that is, of course, 5-3. So he is going to be weighted down by the flying bear Goombas, and we'll have to go through 5-3 the old-fashioned way, it looks like. HUmanMustard is going to take this time to further his lead, and we'll go through World 1's airship, and we'll be looking for a fight with Lenny here in just a moment. The Koopalings are based on the vanilla map they are in. This is World 6 that we would usually be finding in the vanilla world. Of course, we made it the third world this time because, hey, why not? And with that, he will take on Lemmy, who goes down without much of a fight. And he is on to the next world, which is, I'm going to have to guess, let's go with World 1. I don't believe we've seen that yet. This is my third race tonight, so it's a very good possibility I messed that up. And I might have just guessed a world that we've already been in, but I stand by my decision. And jkoper now right behind him as well. Just about a bit of a level difference, and that is about it. All right, I totally called it. I knew what I was doing, and I'm just going to continue to pretend that. Anyway, HUmanMustard sees that there's 1-5 and 1-6, and the only lock that he really cares about is right before the castle. I don't believe he has another hammer, but he may be looking to see if he can get a hammer out of one of these levels before he actually gets there. That is possible by way of levels like the hand stages. One of the last races we just did was it had the hammer in the hand stages, so all three of those will actually be necessary as well. And yes, the commentator's curse strikes again. If I hadn't seen it so many times, I would not believe it was a thing, but the commentator's curse does exist. I mean, we've already seen 7-5. I just need to start talking about 6-6 or Atlantis, and maybe we'll see those come up as well, because I really haven't seen them lately. So I'd be kind of interested to see if those come up. 7-9, I honestly don't believe I've seen any of those recently at all. So we'll see if it actually comes up. And anyway, jkoper deciding to fly over 7 or 8-1, I should say. I think that's a very good decision, and he will be able to get through the majority of this level without having any issues at all. And we'll have to wait for the parachute to come up so that he can get over. And should be able to finish this off here in just one moment. And what a decision by HUmanMustard. That was a hammer in the coin ship, which means he doesn't have to play anything extra. He is now out of there. 13 minutes, and we are going to be entering World 5 next, here within the next minute. What a heads-up play on behalf of HUmanMustard. What a risky gamble that paid off. I mean, talk about just a gut feeling. Finding that hammer means that he doesn't have to play those other fortresses and go down around the long way and play at least 3 more levels, I believe. And he's just going to be moving on after this. So very well done on his part. And he's moving on. So get your guesses in for what's next. I'm going to have to go with 5. I think World 5 needs to come up next. We'll see if we can get Roy in on the field. jkoper following closely. Both of these guys taking the same strategy. What a play, and what a great use of the strategy. I don't fault either of them for this, because jkoper and HUmanMustard both know that a coin ship is a good place for a hammer to be. And those 3 are in the line. So we're 1-5, 1-6, and that Boomerang Brother usually are. We had 8-1, 8-2, and a coin ship that had a hammer. So very good heads-up play for both of these guys. And what a way for jkoper to stay in this thing, especially if HUmanMustard didn't do that one around, then jkoper would be in the lead at this point. He did it, but he is in fact going to be able to keep the lead just where it was and continue hot on his tail. The next world was in fact World 7. And HUmanMustard is just burning through these vibes, just really wants to know where the third set of islands is. I prefer to think of this kind of like the world map. You kind of look at the 3 sections of the map. So I kind of think of that as like North America, South America, and so on and so forth. So HUmanMustard kind of jumping through has gone back to North America. He's been searching the pipes. He's kind of teleporting across the world. Now he's down in Africa. He has not felt the rains in Africa, but he'll have to try again here later. And 5 pipes on what we would consider Asia and Australia. So still a lot of ground to cover. And there are a few fortresses that he's going to have to locate and actually pick the right one. Fortunately, they don't seem to be too terribly complicated to get through, but he has decided to go for 5F2. We'll see if jkoper does a difference in strategy or if he does follow what HUmanMustard has done. And a slight misstep on behalf of HUmanMustard means he will have to play 5F2 here again in just a moment. He has decided to fight fire with fire and has decided to go after 5F2 with a fire. Now jkoper doing his best to figure out what HUmanMustard pretty well already knows, and that is how on earth do I find a fortress and get to Ludwig von Hoopa? Indeed, the spiciest of meatballs. Anyway, those spicy meatballs have taken down the big boy Boom Boom and has done something. We don't know exactly what that is yet. It has broken the lock, so that is in fact the wrong fortress. And we will look to see the 5F1 comes up here in a moment. Typically, those can be linked within the world. We'll check to see if that does play true for this as well. HUmanMustard play the pipe game again. Wants to know, hey, wait, how did I find that fortress again? There it is. All right, now he is going to be locating this world, or this panel 3 here in a moment. And we'll be taking on, I want to say 6-5, but I know that's not right. It is right. I should have stuck with my gut. That was absolutely right. 6-5. HUmanMustard now currently into 6-5. jkoper still trying to figure out where that other fortress is. Now, HUmanMustard is going to have to go back and get another tail because just like Fortress 7 or World 7's first fortress, also known as Fort Knox, he is going to have a tail to defeat this level. And that is because, of course, he does have to fly up to where the Koopa is at the top of the level right now. So he does have to build the momentum. And he is also going to bring a turtle with him. And no big deal, there is not an enemy there that's a problem. So he's going to chuck that away and finish off 6-5 without any further ado. jkoper now doing his best to play both strategically and quickly. Looks like he's going to go ahead and begin his P speed there. A great decision, knowing that the enemies up there are not dangerous. He is going to be able to burn through the rest of that without any further issue. Mid-air kick from jkoper, you'll love to see it. It looks cool. And HUmanMustard is going to be taking on World 6's first fortress, and a beautiful clip from him as well. So that is going to spell the end of it for him, and he will be taking on his fight with Boom Boom here in just one moment. Again, it's one of those you just love to see. It looks so great, and really is a lot of fun. I'm a huge fan of the clips. I think the things that these guys pull off is just absolutely outstanding. jkoper is going ahead and taking an early exit from the escalator, and we'll go through basically the land of items at this point. He does have a fire flower, says no to the tail. Check one more time, see if there's a star. There is not. So he will go into his fight with Boom Boom with a fire flower, but that's not a problem at all. And just like that, Boom Boom goes down, and now it's his turn to go through the pipes. We'll see if he chooses the first one and is able to go back quickly, or if he does go back the way he came from. It looks like he has gone through it, and he will not go through it. Okay, I found that very interesting. It looks like he changed his mind, decided he wanted to go back and play the Piranha. Very curious. I think he decided he needed some more items. Not a bad decision, especially because you're early enough on the run that some more items are not a terrible thing. And that is going to be World 4's airship on behalf of HUmanMustard. And that, of course, is setting up for the fight with Ludwig von Hoopa. Not a very big task for HUmanMustard today. I believe that was a 2-shot on the big composer. And with that, he is now headed to World 6. I believe, let's see, I think they played 1, 2, and 3 so far. I believe 4 and 5 are the 2. No, I think they've played 4. I've lost track. I apologize. Anyway, I'm going to guess 5 anyway because I don't think I've seen it yet, and we'll go from there. If I'm wrong, that's fine too. We currently have jkoper on the path to World Sevens Australia, basically. He has finally found it. Now it is a chance for him to go for the Piranha stage, and will be finishing this off as quickly as he can, grabbing the item and taking on Ludwig von Koopa as well. HUmanMustard deciding to take an early exit out of 5-9, and will go ahead and start 4-1 with a frog suit. Not very uncommon to see our runners do that, as they'll take an item once they use the cloud tool, give them a better chance of getting through the level in the first try. That way they don't have to go back and play the level again for any reason. So HUmanMustard now going to be getting through 4-1. Not a bad level at all to go through. Kind of just a little bit of an up and down, avoid the chain shots, and you're through. jkoper now on the side of Airship 4. He is going to be going through this one and taking on the Ludwig von Koopa as well that we just saw HUmanMustard take. That jump at the beginning does mean a loss of a fire flower, but 2 shots on the head for Ludwig von Koopa means this talented composer is out of commission until the next symphony. He is going to be moving on as well to World 5. HUmanMustard with not a standard clip we usually see, but a very nice one nonetheless that actually does take a few places out that he would usually have to go up and around. So very nicely done on his part. That was very, very well played. He is going to take a tail and continue through 7-9, and we'll be finishing this off here in just one moment. Meanwhile, jkoper has just entered World 3, and he will be finding 5-9 for the first time as well. He says, no thanks, and will be turning to a cloud, just as we saw HUmanMustard do a moment ago. A very, very linear and very straightforward run so far from both of these guys. They have done just an absolutely stellar job. jkoper has really stayed on HUmanMustard's tail very well, so congratulations to him so far. I want to see him come back and do something here. And there's still some time to play, so it's still anybody's game. World 8 could go a lot of different directions, and World 5 could go some different directions. So we'll have to wait and see what happens here still. jkoper now into 7-9. We'll see if he decides to go for any of the clips here. He does get a fire flower. Well, it was a good item to have, but unfortunately a fire chomp just had a little bit too much caffeine today, because he was right in the right place at the right time and really looked like he was going too fast there. Yes, Big Guy DP, they are a lot of disgusting levels right now. This is a seed that I rolled, so I was expecting it somewhere, and it looks like we finally got it. So, we have to keep things interesting for these guys. We can't just let them have it too easy, Either way, jkoper now equipped with the tail is getting through 7-9. There is lots of some power-ups on the side of HUmanMustard, but no big deal. Short Mario isn't anything to be scared of. HUmanMustard decides to go ahead and bypass the fortress that he was just next to, and is going to continue his search for Wendy. He'd really like to know what happens next. Like, how on earth do I get to Wendy? A frog suit on behalf of HUmanMustard, kind of like a mushroom in disguise, but he will get a hammer for his efforts. That's going to be big, I think. That is a very good item to have at this point, and might make the difference between where he needs to go. Oh, man. So the way the priority works there is, for some reason, the rock actually took the first hammer that he would have used. So if he had a second one there, he could have broken the lock. And unfortunately, there's just no way to actually tell it where to go. So instead of the lock breaking, the rock actually broke on his left, and that is going to mean he does have to play the fortresses to try to see if he can actually break that lock. jkoper now into 7-4, and hopefully not going to take damage there. He's not going to be able to get that star, but he is going to be able to continue working his way through 7-4. As you might have noticed, there is no auto scroll here. That's because we've got one rule and one rule only, and that's you got to go fast. Unless it's 5-9 or Atlantis, then you're going to suffer, and we're going to all enjoy it. Just not you, because those levels are terrifying and not a lot of fun. Either way, we have seen 5-9. Both of our runners did skip it at the beginning of World 3. And now we have HUmanMustard currently in 7F2. So we were talking about some of the very scary levels. The commentator's curse lives on. We had 7-9. We've had 7-5 so far. We've had Atlantis so far. I don't believe we've seen 6-6 yet. So, maybe if we can make that happen, that'd be cool. jkoper opting not to play the fortress he did just find. So he does know which one the correct pipe is. We'll see if he opts to go after a hammer. But I do believe he is going to go after... Okay, I am actually wrong. That is 6-6 that he is currently playing. So the commentator's curse continues to live. Oh, I guess I should have known that. HUmanMustard, I guess, just played that. I apologize. Regardless, jkoper is currently on his way through 6-6, and HUmanMustard is now on his way to Windy. We'll see how many hits she takes this time. World 7 airship is the longest one in the game, and HUmanMustard is going to make really short work of it. These floating platforms aren't going to be any issue at all with his momentum, and he will be finishing this off as quickly as he gets there. And an unfortunate death from jkoper. He was trying to use their shell to get through the last part of 6-6, and is going to go ahead and utilize a P-Wing. Unfortunately, he's about to find out he can't fly over the map, so he's going to actually have to go down and play this again. And especially with an aqua level and a P-Wing, that's not a great matchup there. So hopefully he can get through this without any further issues. Fortunately, though, a P-Wing does mean that he does have 2 hits before he's Small Mario, so hopefully he can use that to his advantage as well. On behalf of HUmanMustard, here's looking at you, kid. And now it's time for World 5. So this will be our last world before we get into Bowser's Castle. Or Bowser's Kingdom, I should say, with World 8. And first up on the docket is Air Force. So the HUmanMustard is going to have to go through the Air Force as quickly as he can. Again, we have turned the auto-scrollers off. This is one that would normally have it in the vanilla game. And a rogue shot on the Monty Mole means that HUmanMustard will have to play Air Force again. And it looks like a no item choice there for HUmanMustard. 3 music blocks, I believe a hammer and a hammer's 2. So he will play this one again without a power-up. jkoper is going to take a fanfare, not necessarily needed at this point. He does have 11 lives. This will kick him up to 16, but hey, you never know if the hand level will start to grab you and you want to get out of there real quick. jkoper now going to go ahead and play a fortress. He has opted to take a frog suit, not a terrible decision. And that is going to be World 6 Fortress 3 that he is currently going through. Meanwhile, HUmanMustard in the World 3 airship. He will take a mushroom before taking on Morton. I'm sorry, Morton's World 2. Roy. They're the same sprite, just different colors. Regardless, anyway, so he's taking on Roy. Currently 1 shot, 2 shot, 3. Oh, this is Beefy Boy. He is going to be the thickest of Roy's. That is 5 shots for Roy. And fortunately, no earthquake. Not a terrible arena to take him on in. And that will be the end of the fight with Roy. Now, as we enter World 8, we like to go ahead and get our guesses in for how many bridges to Bowser. This is where we guess how many bridges it has been randomized to get to actually Bowser. Because it could be anywhere from 0 to 4. jkoper does land the hammer there. We'll see if he opts to use it. He does not. Okay, he is going to go and play the fortress. It is 7F2. So he's going to go ahead and take a death here. It might have been intentional. He might have decided he wants to go. Okay, he is. We'll see. I don't believe it's actually going to break the lock, though. And I think he just realized that. So he is going to go back. Oh, no. jkoper jumped a little bit too quickly. That was one of the Hammer Brothers that likes to jump below the stage. He's learned his lesson, so he's not going to have to deal with that. That is appealing. And Human Mustard with a orb or a bro, depending on how you want to look at it. We've got a guess in chat for two bridges. I'm going to have to go with. I'm going to agree. I think two bridges. We haven't seen it yet tonight. I think that'd be very interesting, and we'll go from there. We'll see what happens. Meanwhile, jkoper is going to equip a P-Wing and decide to go after 7F2. I think that's a very wise decision. He could keep the hammer for maybe in World 8. We'll see what happens. And actually, yeah, a hammer in World 8 is not the worst thing here, because if block is needed, that could be a very good way for him to catch up a little bit, or even take a lead, depending on how fast he can get through this. All right, HUmanMustard without a hammer. He does have a hammer suit, but that's kind of a different thing. Okay, I stand corrected. He used the hammer. I missed that. He did actually go back and use the hammer, which I suppose was the reason he actually had to play 7F2, because that was required at that point. So, no hammer advantages here. HUmanMustard at this point is just looking for Bowser. And really, the only thing he needs to know is, where is that creepy lizard or turtle, whatever he is. Tanks, but no tanks at this point. He's going to go ahead and bypass that. Still just really looking for pipes. This is interesting from HUmanMustard. I think he really just wants to know where Bowser is at this point. So he's going to just find all the pipes, see what's in them, and go from there. Meanwhile, jkoper now onto the World 7's airship. He's going to be taking on the fight with, I believe, Roy here, and just, no, I apologize. Windy, actually, I believe. HUmanMustard now making short work of World 8. Really not abated by anything. And it is one half of a bridge because it wasn't actually required. So 0 bridges technically required. If you said 1/2, we will grant you that as well. HUmanMustard not able to land those clips, no big deal. This stairs case isn't that treacherous. He will have to wait for the roto discs to go by. The hammer does not work on the roto discs. Those are pretty much invincible. They just kind of sit there and do their own thing, and if you get in their way, you're in trouble. Now the mac and cheese clip for HUmanMustard, 1 try, 1 kill. That's it. Hammer is coming up soon for Bowser, and then comes the princess. Go ahead and get your GGs out for HUmanMustard. A fantastic display for him tonight, and that is going to put him at 4-0 for his group so far. His last races will be against Basil, I believe, tomorrow night at 5:30 p.m. Yes, that is correct. Tomorrow night at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, HUmanMustard will be taking on Basil. The channel is still to be determined, but we will get that up as soon as we possibly can, and we'll see if we can get HUmanMustard in for a couple questions. All right, and with that, we have HUmanMustard finishing in first place with a time of 33 minutes and 30 seconds. And jkoper, having seen the done, has went ahead and forfeited from the race. But go ahead and get your GGs out for jkoper as well. We definitely appreciate him being a part of this matchup and being a part of this tournament. Obviously, without the runners, there would be no tournament, and we appreciate every single one of them being a part with us and as being part of the tournament. So get your GGs out for jkoper, get your GGs out for HUmanMustard. Just a very well fought, really well played part on both their sides. So good game, guys. We've got invites going out to both of them now, and we're going to hope and see if we can get them in here for a few questions. If you have some questions in chat, just definitely get those as well. Our runners are really good about answering some questions for us, and just kind of talking about the scene and what they thought, what they saw, maybe some of their decisions, and we'll kind of go with that. And with that, I am now joined in the commentator booth by the one and the only jkoper. GG's.
Hey, thanks. Is he not coming to interview? I don't know.
I'm not sure yet. He just put his Be Right Back screen up, so we'll see. But
Oh, okay. Thanks for the polite words, I guess. I'm obviously never going to be as good at this game as he is, so that's fine. But, whatever. It's a fun game. But that would require too many years of practice to get up there. So whatever.
Well, HUmanMustard is definitely a very qualified opponent, but I would like to urge you to go ahead and watch the VOD after this at some point, because I think you'd be a little surprised with how close you were for the majority of the run, up until about World 3, and even the one right before that, I forget which one it was. You were very close to where HUmanMustard was, and in fact, at one point in World 6, you were actually tied. So at the very end, where 6-9 and 6-10 usually are, you picked the bottom route, he picked the top route, you ended up with 5-3. His was a lot quicker, so unfortunately that was kind of the start to it. But you held in there for a very long time, so I do want to say kudos on that. You did a fantastic job, so do not get discouraged. I know this is kind of a hard one, but very well played, seriously. Any thoughts about the run? I mean, you kind of went for a hammer play in World 3, and that didn't exactly work out for you there.
Oh yeah, I had that exact same scenario happen before. Although I think when it happened before, the rock was on the right and the lock was on the left, maybe. And then I broke the rock before, and I should have been aware of it because of, practicing and stuff like that, I guess. But I wasn't. Obviously, I lost a hammer because of it. I mean, it obviously made no difference in the outcome of the race, though. So, yeah.
If it makes you feel any better, HUmanMustard did the exact same thing. So we were kind of watching for it because he had just done it a couple minutes prior. But it is a little weird. I think it's the way that the game has it in memory, because it's used to breaking rocks with hammers, and the lock's kind of a weird one. So unfortunately, it does occur. But great one altogether. Any other thoughts about it?
No, the second one, the second seed was obviously going much smoother, and I got lost a couple times there. Could really feel it going downhill towards the end, and yeah, not surprising that he pulled away from me. And it's not that surprising that I was mostly close in the beginning, so it felt like it was going pretty smoothly. The first seed, was kind of the opposite. Like, the very first death that I had in 7-8 or whatever that level is was pretty frustrating, because I sure controlled the game. Like, I thought I was gonna land on that platform, but the lag just took me and dumped me right into the whatever those piranha plants things are called. So yeah, that was really frustrating, and then I couldn't get through there for a long time. So, all right. Yeah, but then after that, it was better for the most part. So, I don't know. Yeah, well, it might have been interesting to see how, if I would have got through that level like the first time, perhaps, how close that one might have been. But it's all hypotheticals that don't matter. So, anyway, thanks for stepping in and doing commentary and stuff. So, appreciate it.
Always, anytime. I do appreciate you guys being here. I love being on the commentary booth. You guys put on such great races. It's really a joy and a pleasure for me to be a part of this. So thank you as well.
Yeah, sounds great. Okay, thanks. Have a great night.
You do the same. And we're not getting any message from HUmanMustard or anything, so I think
he said he's not going to interview.
Is not going to interview. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So with that, I think we'll go ahead and get closed off here. So thank you again to our runners for putting on just an outstanding performance. And once again, if you're not already following SpeedGaming, all their channels, main, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, definitely be there, be a part of that. They put on some really, really great things over the weekend. They had a No Kids Hungry marathon, and talk about just a fantastic thing to be a part of and to support, and so on and so forth. So please definitely give them a follow. Be there. Uh, help them in the little things that they do, because they do mean a lot. They really truly do. And if you're not following, what an easy way to show some support and some love for that. So I'm going to go ahead and throw a couple more links in there. If you're not already following jkoper and HUmanMustard, show your love, show your appreciation. It takes just a moment to go over to their channels real quick, hit follow, show them some love, show them how much you appreciated the race tonight. Also, put a couple of links in there as well. We've got the randomizer tournament, the bracket, the schedule. If you bookmark any of these, definitely do the schedule. It is changing daily. I was in it for a little while earlier today, and then a few minutes later it had completely changed as people were getting more and more races in there. A lot of races coming up. Like we said, we've got like 3 tomorrow. We've got several more on Thursday. I expect that number to go up as well, and then several more over the weekend. I think there's like 4 between Friday and Saturday, so definitely be a part. We look forward to seeing you there. And that is the time that we have for tonight. So on behalf of the SpeedGaming community, jkoper, HUmanMustard, the entire SMB3 randomizer community, we want to say thank you for being a part, and for chat, you being here. Thank you so much. There's a lot of places you could have been tonight, and you chose it to be here with us. So thank you so much for that. On behalf of everyone that we've just listed, this is Growlwolf signing off, saying keep randomizing, keep racing, take care.